African Christian Democratic Party Deputy President Wayne Thring is joining us now to talk a little bit more about this NGC. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Congratulations to you. I'd like to start off with this question, though. 29 years later, why did you feel that Reverend Meshoe, including yourself, should be given another mandate to lead? Were there no younger leadership candidates?
Well, certainly, I think the ACDP has plenty of young candidates, young leaders within our structures. But just the caliber of leader that we have in Reverend Dr. Kenneth Meshoe, the branches, we have a democratic process where from the branches, our regional structures and then provincial structures make nominations for the president and the deputy president position and other executive positions within the ACDP. And our branches and our structures democratically decided to elect and to re-elect and to nominate Reverend Dr. Kenneth Meshoe and myself, in this case, as the president and the deputy president. It is an open contest, and anyone within the ACDP who feels that they wish to contest the position of president or deputy president, for that matter, is democratically allowed within the structures of the ACDP to do so. However, our positions were in this election were uncontested, and this general conference was uncontested. And so we have the result, and we see this as an indication of the support for the positions that we currently hold, and that our structures within the different provinces value the leadership, particularly in the form of our president, Reverend Dr. Kenneth Meshoe.
All right. I was going to ask you for a brief outline of the policies that will follow over the next 3 years, but because we don't have much time, let's get straight into it. You say that blackouts are affecting vulnerable citizens. We know this already. Many parties, indeed citizens, have been lamenting this. But what are you proposing as the ACDP?
Well, I think that there's a number of proposals that the ACDP has put forward. We have a motion also with regards to the continued blackouts, and the motion deals with government essentially fast-tracking processes. One of the within the motion that we've put forward with regards to the current dilemma that we have with load shedding over 100 days to date, one of the largest number of days ever within the year, and the year is not even up yet, and we've exceeded records. So the ACDP has said that we need to expedite your private partnerships, public-private partnerships. We need to also look at the corruption that has taken place. And in particular, I think within the Zondo Commission, we've seen that there's the state capture report, that Eskom was not left unscathed, and that there's been huge amounts of corruption. And so the billions of rands that has been stolen from Eskom as an SOE, that needs to be, the investigations need to be fast-tracked. We cannot be calling for more commissions when there's prima facie evidence of criminality. And so we are not interested in commissions. We are not interested in further inquiries. We want to see those within Eskom who have been guilty of corruption facing criminal charges. And so I think also the mixed energy use in terms of solar energy, wind energy. The ACDP is also calling for the expedition for that to be expedited, so that we have a good energy mix. We also believe that we cannot just cut our coal-powered fire stations. We've seen that where other nations, Australia, and even in Europe currently, where they have stopped producing energy from coal, that they are now returning to coal because of the the lack of reliance on wind and solar. You know, wind and solar you can only have for certain periods of the year. You have wind droughts, and sometimes also you don't have the sun, particularly I suppose up in the northern parts, shining. So what you really need is a mixed basket of energy, and that has to include coal. What we find amazing is that those particular countries that are asking South Africa to cut back on its coal-powered energy plants, those very nations are the nations that are importing coal and are using the coal from South Africa to fire their coal-fired plants to generate energy in their nations. And so we believe that it's hypocritical. And so very, very clearly, there has to be a good mix, a mix of energy. There obviously also needs to be the necessary expertise, and that expertise must be beyond color. We have to move. You know, we come from a stage where, understandably, there needs to be some rectification because of the imbalances of the past. But right now, we have to be pragmatic. And when it comes to the procurement of safe energy or reliable energy, which our economy certainly needs, we have to look at those who are properly qualified coming into
Mr. Thring, I need to move on now.
Sector.
Now, earlier this year, last year, I think it was this year actually, your party submitted 2 petitions to Parliament aimed at preventing South Africa from committing itself to a World Health Organization pandemic treaty. What are you suggesting? Yes. Should there be other such health crises? Because there's no doubt we're in a new era. I mean, you had also urged employees who suffered side effects due to COVID-19 vaccines to lodge claims. So I'm wondering what came of that. Did actually people come forward with this? Because I know there was a lot of conjecture, a lot of people who felt things but could not quite pinpoint that. So I'm also trying to see if there is a relation between the two. Is there scientific evidence that links these two issues?
Well, I think our position is very clear. The World Health Organization is looking at instituting a World Health Agreement, pandemic agreement. That pandemic agreement essentially erodes the sovereignty of nations. And clearly, it is undemocratic to have the sovereignty of nations being eroded by a treaty where one particular health organization, the World Health Organization, is seen to be then the one who dictates the kind of policies that the nations would need to abide by, the lockdowns, the harsh lockdowns, and all of the negative effects that actually come with those harsh lockdowns. I think very clearly there is evidence that has proven that the harsh lockdowns have not worked. We've had professors, we've had epidemiologists, we've had scientists who have actually come out and said the harsh lockdown, even in South Africa, have said that the harsh lockdowns have not worked, and in fact may have caused more harm than any good. And I think that the ACDP has been justified when very early in the harsh lockdown, the AC lockdown stage, the ACDP actually said what we needed is rather a targeted approach. So where there's been an outbreak of any particular disease, you target that particular area. You don't have a blanket shutdown of the entire nations. Now, there have been other countries, and I think one of them was Sweden, and the other was Taiwan, where they did not have this blanket lockdown approach, but rather a targeted approach. And when one looks at the mortality rate in those countries, they are sometimes even better than countries that have actually had harsh lockdowns. So very clearly, the harsh lockdowns have not worked, and the ACDP feels vindicated by our position.
Wayne Thring, unfortunately,
with regards to your second question, with regards to those who need to claim, We have not seen. Now, clearly, we know that there are those who have been injured by vaccines, and the ACDP has brought forward those who we were told were injured by the vaccine. After they took the vaccine, they became incapacitated. But it is such a struggle for those to actually lay claim. They don't know. People in South Africans don't know where to go, who to go to, and where they're able to actually lay their claim where they've been injured by vaccines. And that is an indictment of the South African government.
All right, it's such a pity because we have run out of time. Lots that was still in the offing of my asking you policy on the state of Israel, the LGBTQI plus community, and of course the shutting down of rural schools. But thank you so much. Re-elected ACDP Deputy President Wayne Thring.